So we're here with Noah and Rob of Gotham Dream Cars, my old employers and my new friends. And I tried to get in the Saleen and didn't really work out. But apparently you guys are actually going to be renting this thing.
We're crazy enough to actually be doing that, yeah.
And why?
Well, yeah, there's this thing called money. It works
There's a
nicely.
thing called
it
money,
does.
yeah.
And also, it's a pretty crazy car to rent.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to drive it, but I mean, what's it like to drive?
It's awesome, actually. This car drives like what I expected the Ford GT to drive like when I first
like a
drove
race
it.
car?
It feels like a race car. It's tight. It's loud. It's sort of obnoxious.
Yeah.
You know.
It's really small.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even close.
No. Like, I mean, I barely fit in. You
Yeah.
know, and if you're you must be this tall to get on the ride. You must be
fit
this
just fine.
skinny guy has no problem.
The 5'4" Ferretti fits in perfectly. I mean, and what do you think in terms of? I mean, what is someone going to pay for a day to rent that?
We're gonna charge about $4,000.
$4,000 for
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah.
And I guess that's pretty standard with the level of rental rates versus the value of cars, right?
It is also, and for a car like this, I think we're the only one in the country that actually is renting this car.
I'd be surprised if anybody in the world would be renting something
Yeah.
like that.
So there's no market. I mean, you can't set up. I mean, so we sort of, you know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Exactly.
Maybe someone will pay $8,000. Okay. You know?
Yeah. I mean, why a Saleen S7 over like a Carrera GT?
The Carrera GT is an awesome car.
Yeah.
You know, both
I happen to love it.
Both are equally petrifying to
Yeah.
rent because they're both 6-speed. You know, they're both manual transmissions. The Saleen is basically a Ford when it comes down to it, though. And so, I mean, you know.
Yeah, as expensive as it is and as cool as it looks, it's still a Ford at heart. So I mean, if you blow a clutch on the car, you're talking $400 to fix a clutch. Like we have a cracked
as opposed
gear
to a
case.
triple disc ceramic.
Yeah, I mean, but even if it was a triple disc Ford racing clutch, it's still only $1,000. So,
yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
It's very cost effective to fix after it does break.
And one of the keys that we've learned about cars like this is that you can't, you don't go to Saleen to get the clutch. You know, you just get the equivalent part number, right?
And you're good. Now, there's a new car that just came out in England called this Keating SKR, and there's a TKR also. They're sport and touring versions of the same car, and it actually looks almost identical to this car, although I think it's a bit smaller. You know, what do you guys think about all these new manufacturers just coming out and going at, you know, they saw that SSC could build a car to beat a Veyron, so it's like, oh well, let me throw a tube frame and a Saleen-like body on it. I mean, do you think this thing might do it?
I don't doubt it. I mean, when you're building a supercar, all you're really doing is playing with aerodynamics.
Yeah.
It's the supercar. All these new smaller make supercars are all pretty much the same in that they're they're race cars with street car looking bodies on them. And then
tube
they have a
chassis,
racing program
Corvette
where
engine, and then you're good.
Then they put together, like Mosler will put together a racing program where they just take their street car, throw a bunch of stickers on it, and be like, okay, now I have a track car. I mean, it is essentially just a track car that you're able to register on the street. So it's not hard to take a track car or one of these monster, not even a Formula One car, but making them beat a Veyron, because a Veyron is a true street car. I mean, that is built with a...
you could drive it every day.
You could drive it every day, and the construction isn't a welded tube frame car that takes 3 weeks to build.
I don't like it. The picture that you showed me, and here's why I don't like it, because I think people need to have some originality in their designs, and it looked like a Saleen, you know, and you know, I think there are a lot of cars out there. The Mosler, I think it looks like a Saleen on the road, and I think you know, I respect supercar manufacturers, especially startups, for doing their thing. But I think you have to have some creativity. Get a designer.
I mean, I as far as small manufacturers go, I like the Gumpert, the Apollo, I like Ariel Atom. That's innovative.
Original design, right? You know, come up with an original design, build a great car, and have it look not like every other car on the road.
Now, in the spirit of that, the Chinese, you know, for years they've been knocking off handbags and shoes and wallets and Rolexes. Now they're knocking off cars.
It's like the development of capitalism, right?
Exactly.
As they begin, same spirit applies, right? You're still going to be doing that.
So we've got, there's just today in the news was there's a fake Lexus RX. We've got the fake Phantom, fake Smart Car, fake Mini. There's a fake BMW X6. And they're marketed under different names. I can't pronounce them, so I'm not going to try. But I mean, they're the inferior performance, sketchy safety features at best. And they're cheap and slow and knockoffs. I mean,
they sort of resemble the very high dollar cars.
Yeah.
That's sort of what Chrysler's been doing for years. I mean, if you think about it, the Bentley
300,
the Bentley 300C, right?
Man, a nice Bentley.
Door, whatever it is, phantom-looking thing.
I mean, it's just,
they found out that there are people who just don't care, or maybe they can't tell the difference.
Yeah.
And they're driving around and they think it's a Bentley.
Yeah. You put the strut grill on it, and all of a sudden it's really a Bentley.
And I am not lying to you when I say we've had calls from people who said, "I'd like to rent the Bentley 300." and we just say over the phone, we're like, "I'm sorry, I can't help you."
So it turns out, maybe there really is a market for knockoff cars.
Obviously, there is.
There's clearly a market for knockoff every other product. Why not cars? I think Jalopnik put it best. They said, if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, then Chinese auto manufacturers are the sincerest mofos in the automotive universe.
Ironically, they're like on the verge of actually like theft of trademark design.
Oh yeah, oh totally.
So it kind of goes both ways.
Yeah.
Now they've also got a fake look. Well, I don't know if it's fake or real, but it's a Formula One car. This company Geely came out with a knockoff of the Ferrari Formula One car. And it's sketch looking.
I haven't seen that one, but I mean, a Formula One car is probably the easiest thing to imitate because it's no safety features, very light, and a Hayabusa motor behind it to make you feel like you're going fast.
We'll draw straws. Who wants to take that around the track first?
Yeah, I know. I will bow out.
There's only one car I'd rather not take around the track over than that one. That's one we're going to be touching on in a minute.
Yeah. Now we'll get there, but this fake Formula One car. I mean, if a knockoff, these cars are like hundreds of millions of dollars into wind tunnel testing, safety, various aerodynamic features, braking, what the car is made of, and structurally, and a safety cage. What are you thinking? I mean,
I'm thinking these guys probably didn't spend hundreds of millions of dollars safety testing this thing.
Yeah, it's a Chinese car, correct?
It is a Chinese car.
There is the closest thing to a Formula One car that I mean, other than getting a Formula 3000 car for 20 grand on eBay. They have the Caparo T1.
Oh my God!
Which is something I look at and I'm like, wow, that would be fun.
Did you rent one of those out?
I would rent one of those out once, I guess.
Those cars look like instant death to me. Yeah. Now, coming up on Garage419, more good stuff for you. We got a supercar made of wood, and gas finally hits $4. Wah, wah, wah. Garage419.com. Be there. So, I like supercars, and obviously you guys like supercars. That's why kind of we're all in this business. I'm certainly not in it for the money. You guys might be. But, there's people out there that either can't afford, supercars or don't like what's out there, so they want to build their own. There's the guy in Italy just built his own supercar, which might actually be the ugliest car I've ever seen in my life. And then this team in North Carolina actually said a couple months ago they were building a wood supercar. Wood, okay? Full body, frame, wood, all right? And they just released pictures of it, which I showed you guys.
And it's a good-looking car.
It looks cool.
But in the history of terrible ideas, it is the worst idea I've ever heard in my entire life.
It depends. Is it going to be a show car that doesn't have to run or drive anywhere? Okay, I'll look at that and I'll enjoy it as a piece of art. You couldn't pay me to get in that thing.
No.
Like, I'd sooner take a lap on the Nürburgring in the Geely fake knockoff F1 car.
I was about to say, put me number one on that list for that fake F1 car over getting in this thing.
I mean, there's obvious issues. Heat from the engine could set the entire car on fire, a la Ferrari.
That's a big thing. Or even if you spill gas on the side, what happens?
Oh yeah, if you're at the pump, you drip a little on the frame.
I mean, I would hope in the development that they have a button that just push in case of fire, and the whole car goes.
It turns into a cannoli like Demolition Man.
Yeah.
See, I think I admire the guys who are developing this thing for innovation in an idea, right?
Yeah.
Great. Take a new material or take a material that you don't normally associate with supercars. But part of engineering and part of good product development is you have to have something that has some practical application.
Yeah.
Okay? And oh, look at me, I can build a car out of bubble wrap. Great, congratulations.
Well, what about the fact that Morgan has been building their frames out of wood for years?
Yeah, well, Morgan is another
But
car.
Morgan is the only. I mean, they could be doing it for years the wrong way. They're the only company that I know of that even uses wood in their design. It's taking a very large step backwards back to the Flintstones instead of to the Jetsons. Yeah. And we have to work on flying cars before we start building them out of wood. Yeah. It's just we're going the wrong way.
And oh, by the way, it's called the Splinter. So you guys can come up with your own jokes about that one. It's like, how are you going to die by Splinter? Well, there you go.
And I would be honestly impressed if they made the engine out of wood somehow.
Yeah.
It's not.
That would be awesome.
All they're doing is strapping wheels and an engine and axles to wood, which doesn't make any sense.
Well, I think there should be a contest. If you run that car on the track against a Ferrari, which one will catch on fire first?
Well, and the other problem is what happens if something happens and you scrape too low? What do you catch on fire? The bumper catches on?
You just go to Home Depot and you're good.
Exactly.
Stop by Home Depot.
Every 4 miles.
They're here to help.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Yeah.
We can help if we can find it in that giant fucking store. So anyway, now gas prices. I'm from Greenwich, Connecticut. Gas prices hit $4 a gallon, which for me is kind of a bummer because all my cars need premium. Now, obviously, your cars need premium as well.
They do.
I mean, aside from the very obvious reasons, how is that going to affect your guys' business?
Thankfully, I don't think it's going to affect our business very much.
Really?
The good thing is that, look, you know, someone's spending $4,000 to rent a car for the weekend, whether they spend $200 to fill it up or they spend $100 to fill it up, it's such a small amount relative to the cost of the car.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to affect our business very much, thankfully.
And also, if you're spending $4,000 to rent a car, I hope you have an extra $100 around
for gas
that you can gas up the vehicle.
Yeah, for me, it's like if I have to pay an extra $50 a week for gas, that's like half my salary.
Right.
So it affects me more.
I'll tell you the trucking business because we've got an auto transport company as well.
Dream Cars Transport, new trucking business.
That affects it a lot, you know, because
what's diesel at now?
Diesel's at $4.50 a gallon now, close to, you know, and so.
I'm glad I sold that H1.
Yeah, right.
That was a bad move. I bought an H1. It was stupid. Yeah. Noah, Rob from Gotham Dream Cars, thanks so much for being here. If you're interested in renting the Saleen or any number of other fun cars from them, go to GothamDreamCars.com. As always, Matt from the New York Motor Club here. Till next time, thanks for watching Garage419.